Welcome to the second session of Heartful Communication. In the first session, we learnt about needs consciousness, and today we are going to learn about another crucial aspect of communication.
Okay, can we settle down? Don't think anybody's listening.
That's right. Today we are going to learn about the art of listening.
You probably know the quote from Stephen Covey when he said most people are listening in order to reply, not listening to try to understand. And it starts with being present, of being willing to be as empty as possible. I mean, we're never empty really, because we've got so much going on. But to be willing to set aside, even if we can't be empty, to set aside all that agenda that is moving in our minds all the time. To let that go and say, in this moment, let me really try to be present with my whole being, my consciousness, my body, my feelings, my open heart, my mind. Let me see if I can be really present with this other person or people, it may not be just one person, and try to understand them. So it's very simple in a way. It's like, let me try to understand what it is that they're saying. Now, for that, one of the things that we really need to let go of very fast is our opinions. We have opinions about everything, and I include myself in this, for sure. And one thing that makes a massive difference immediately is if we're willing to let go of our opinions, the instant opinion that comes up about what somebody's saying or doing or whatever. So when we're listening, we're present, we're open, we're as empty as possible, we have an intention of connection, an intention of understanding. And we also, one of the things we do in Heartful Communication is look at some of the, what I like to call circuit breakers, the habitual forms of response which break the flow, which break the connection, the circuit breakers. Things like, oh, the same thing happened to me. Somebody starts to tell a story of what's happened to them. It triggers a memory. I mean, you'll hear it everywhere. Oh, that happened to me. Or they start talking about their own situation, which is not the same. It's similar, not the same. It's one of the most habitual responses to tell your own experience immediately. And of course, then what happens is the whole focus shifts from the person who's wanting to tell you something to yourself. And before you know what's happened, the speaker becomes the listener becomes the speaker, and the whole thing has reversed. And that person who would have liked to have had a hearing ends up, maybe empathizing with you. It's very, very common. So that would be a circuit breaker. Another one would be, of course, instant fix. Well, here's what I think you should do before you've even started. Another one would be compensating for it. Well, at least you. And I remember somebody who had, very sadly, had to have an arm amputated after an engineering accident. And I remember somebody saying, "Oh, well, at least they've got the other arm," Oh. So these compensating, even consoling, it'll be all right. Another very common one is if somebody's angry, don't be angry. If somebody's worried, don't worry. It's like being, you have a feeling, somebody's expressing a feeling, and the next thing is somebody's telling you, don't feel that. I'm feeling really kind of embarrassed about that. Oh, don't be embarrassed. But I am embarrassed, So don't feel. Another one is asking lots of questions, which is just factual. You know, somebody's had they're in ICU, they've had some, you know, oh, which hospital are they in? And, you know, it's like data which takes the person out of their feeling state, out of where they are. And those questions that people ask are usually for themselves, to kind of give them a sense of location in the experience. So these circuit breakers, which are so common, that come all the time, disrupt the connection. And of course we then can't, you know, it's not part of compassionate, deep listening. Having said all that, those kinds of interventions usually come from a caring place. They come because the person does want to connect with that person's experience. Let's say the person is expressing something which is painful or, you know, problematic for them. The kind of habitual, it's going to be okay. It comes from a caring place of wanting to sympathize and to console and comfort. It's normally a matter of timing. That in that moment, what that person really would like is empathy. Just that all those responses are not there, and that you can give your full presence, which might mean listening in almost silence, as long as your eyes are soft and connecting, not, you know, boring into them. Sometimes people say, maintain eye contact, but that can be very intimidating, you know, especially if it's something that's very, you know, tender, something that's very sensitive. You don't want to be staring at them, you know, so your eyes will meet theirs. That softness is there, but not always. That sense of the openness of your, you know, your body, that is also part of the presence. You might make little noises, just like or you know, even those are empathic sounds that give the message, I'm with you. And to be willing to hear them out, unless you are then losing connection yourself, which can happen. You know, if somebody speaks without a break for half an hour, our own capacity to remain present is really often tested. And in that case, instead of just closing it down, we might just express using our own needs and say, you know, right now I notice that I'm starting to get a little confused, I'm losing connection, and I really want to be able to stay in connection. How about if we have a break for a few moments? You know, in other words, you express what is authentically alive in you in that moment, because that is in the interest of connection. So even though you may not continue to be in the receiving listening mode, you say what you're going to do rather than just glazing over and stopping, you know, and just thinking, how am I going to get out of this? So when you need time out, you express that.
While it's easy to see why some of these things would break the connection, it's difficult to understand how something as well-meaning as "it will be all right" can be a circuit breaker.
It's going to be all right has a sort of ending quality to it, like it's going to be all right. That's sort of like the end of the story, you know. In other words, don't worry, it's all under control. Now, there are times when someone says it's going to be all right, it can feel very comforting, very reassuring, which is why I said it's often a matter of timing. But people may say it almost like the very first thing they say is it's going to be all right. And maybe this person needs to say a lot more about how they're feeling, what their experience is, that they need to have a listening that is longer than 30 seconds when somebody says it's going to be all right. Maybe at the end of it. Actually, what often happens when you really listen to somebody, that it's going to be all right comes not from the listener, but from the person who has been speaking. Because in a way, that empathy, which just connects with where they are in that moment, rather than trying to jump them into where they're not too quickly. So it's like the listening, in my sense, is that it's like a following. You're not leading, you're following. Your presence is there to receive, to follow. And what happens so often when you do that is the person, just through your presence and your willingness to be there, to connect with their feelings and needs, to empathize, happens with children too. They come to their own sense of, it may not be resolution, but completion for the moment, you might say. That's enough for now to feel settled. So they may well say, I think it's going to be all right, actually. And they've said it, not you.
Now let's watch a sample conversation where you will see some of these circuit breakers in action.
Hi Manvi. Hi. Manvi, I got a mail from my manager today, and it seems I've been laid off.
Oh,
I feel so devastated. I don't know what to do.
that's really sad to hear.
Yeah.
But don't worry so much. Yeah.
I don't know what to do. I mean, I had a job yesterday. I had a very well-paying job. I was planning so many things in the future.
Oh, actually, I think your parents are still working, right? At least your parents are working, so you don't have to worry that much about where the money is going to come from.
Yeah, they are working, but it's not about the money. It's about me standing on my feet, taking my own decisions, having my own family, and planning the future.
You know what? Look at the brighter side of things. You will have time. You can invest that time in learning something new. You can take up another course. Maybe AI is really big right now. You can do something in that. That would help.
Yeah, AI is booming, and I also wanted to do that, but not leaving the job. I don't know what I can do for the next 1 year.
I just remembered when I lost my job, I used that time for traveling. I traveled around India and it was so much fun. Maybe you can try that too.
That sounds good, but I don't even feel like moving from my bed. I can't even think about traveling right now.
I can think of a really good solution, Harsha, for you. You can just have faith and pray one night. Everything will be okay.
Yeah, whatever.
As you can see here, the connection has been broken. Now let's watch a sample of the same conversation when the other person is present, listening, and trying to tune in to the needs being expressed.
Hi Manvi. Manvi, today I got a mail from my manager and it seems I've been laid off.
Oh.
And I don't know what to do because I was there in the company for 5 years and every year I was getting really good reviews. And I was planning to maybe go up the ladder, take up leadership positions. And this would have really helped me in my next venture I was thinking about. Now it just ended all of a sudden. I don't know what to do.
Oh. That sounds like a challenging situation. Are you stressed right now?
Not really stressed. I don't know what to do. So many thoughts going in my mind because I had a plan of maybe next 5 years down in the same company and then start my own venture. And now I don't think I can do that. I needed that financial security. I don't have that kind of money right now. And I can't go back to a firm with this in my resume being laid off. So I don't know.
Oh. So probably you're very confused what to do right now, and maybe you'd like some kind of support and guidance.
Yeah, actually I'm really confused. I don't know what to do. And yeah, I think a little bit of support would really help. I'm wondering what to do. I think one of my uncle who's also in this field, I think if I talk to him, it would really help. And yeah, I will do that actually. That would give me a lot of clarity and support that I need. Thanks a lot for listening, Manvi. It really helped me. Thank you.
This illustrates how empathic listening can really help somebody.